Hello and welcome. Today we discuss on the types of test of the tillage machinery. That is, first is the laboratory test. In that we to check the specification of the machine, to check the hardness of the critical component, to check the chemical analysis of the soil engaging component, to find out the wear of the soil engaging components. In field test, we check the rate of work, that is a parameter like width of cut, effective field capacity, field efficiency. And quality of the work, we check the depth of cut, soil inversion, soil pulverization. Then again to measure the draft of the implement, to check the fuel consumption and soundness of the construction and ease of adjustment and operation. Now the selection of the test sample which is in a commercial production shall be selected at random from the manufacturer by the representative of the testing institute. However, the prototype machine may be submitted directly to the testing institute. And it is important that to test the testing team should get fully acquainted with the construction and operation features of the equipment to assess its real function and performance. It is again the reliability of the testing data to great extent depend upon the accuracy of the instrumentation for proper evaluation of the test sample, and it is necessary that where is testing or test machine on a common hard stick. Therefore, measuring the instrument should have accuracy as specified below, that is time, distance, for mass and rotational speed. Then selection of the plot should be rectangular with side length of the 2:1 as far as possible, isn't it? And again the field capacity and field efficiency of an implement are affected by the field operation pattern, which is closely related to the size and shape of the field, and you can select the different field pattern like a continuous, circuitous pattern, turns, strips, headland pattern, then alternation pattern. You can select as per the shape and size of the field. Now the speed of operation, two poles 20 meter apart are placed approximate in middle of the test run, and on the opposite side also two poles are placed in a similar position and 20 meter apart, so that all four poles from the corners of rectangular, and the speed will be calculated from the time required for the machine distance to travel the distance of 20 meter between the actual light connecting the two poles on opposite side AC and BD. This is the diagram. You can show the how to measure the speed of the machine. Now the another factor is a wheel slip. Wheel slip is actually the relative moment at the no load and load condition, and it is measured in a percentage. Now the duration of the test is the test sample should be operated under different soil and surface condition for a minimum period of the 50 hours to establish its performance, and each test should be minimum period of 3 hours. And what are the field parameter? That is this first the selection of the test plot, then size of the test plot, last crop grown, topography of the field, type of soil, bulk density of the soil, cone index of the soil. What are the laboratory test procedure to checking of the specification? In that we check the specification verified against the value furnished by applicant given as per the BSI document, and the hardness of the various critical components should be measured and compared with the relevant Indian standard. The chemical composition of the critical soil engaging component should be determined. Then mass of critical soil engaging component should be determined before and after the field test to assess the wear rate. Field test width of the cut in regard to the disc harrow we measured with the help of these formulas, and width of cut average 5 runs should be taken, isn't it? Now the effective field capacity is calculated by this formula. The actual field capacity in terms of the area covered per hour is expressed as a effective field capacity. After that, we can find out the theoretical fill capacity, and we take the ratio of the effective fill capacity and theoretical fill capacity. We will get the field efficiency. Now, the quality of work is depend upon the depth of cut, soil pulverization, soil inversion. Now, the soil inversion is the process through which the furrow slice is inverted. We measure the numbers of weed present before the per unit area before the operation, and numbers of weed present per unit area after the operation. Now, the soil pulverization is the process of breaking the soil into small aggregate and resulting from the action of the tillage. And we find out the mean mass diameter aggregate. It is considered as a soil pulverization and can be determined by the sieve analysis method. And sieve provide the sample means of measuring the range of clod size and relative amount of the soil in each size class. This is the procedure to find out the MMD, that is collect the material from the area 150 by 150 millimeter and to the depth of operation of the implement. Then weight the material accurately and pass through it as a set of sieve with the aperture size. Then weight of the material shifted through each sieve and material written on 11.2 millimeter sieve. Then calculate the percentage of mass of the material shifted through each sieve and that shifted and written on 11.2 millimeter. Then plot the curve sieve size and percentage of the mass material shifted through each sieve. And then obtain the MMD by multiplying the area of the shaded portion and MMD equivalent to the 1 unit area in the graph. You can see the sieve analysis curve for mean mass diameter. This is the data sheet for material of the construction, data of test material. You can see in the different column component, material, size and mass. Now this is the width and depth cut data sheet table. You can see the observation table, the soil pulverization, uh, then power requirement, then field efficiency, and then another method to find out the MMD, the soil sample through setup sewage, soil written on a largest aperture sieve pass through each sieve and pass through the smallest aperture sieve. We can use this formula. This is the table for minimal diameter calculation method. You can see the column size of aperture, die of the soil passing through the upper sieve and written on the next soil aperture, then one representative die of the soil and weight of the soil. Now the draft measurement is for manually operated tools. We measure the with the help of the dynameter, and sometimes it is used as strain gauge meter can be utilized to part of the apparatus, but it is expensive and too sensitive to field condition. For drill type implement, the draft required for pulling the implement can be measured by inserting a spring or strain gauge and type diameter between the hitch of the implement. And this is draft is equal to P cos theta. This is formula to find out the draft. For mounted type, we use the two tractors and a diameter and implement is mounted on the tractor, first tractor and second in between the two tractors, and through diameter measure the draft when tractor is in neutral gear condition but implement in operating condition. Again, when the implement is in a lifted position. This is the measurement of the draft for mounted type implement. So you will get the clear area. Now the fuel consumption, the tank fill to fuel capacity before and after the test and amount of refilling after the test. Consumption of the test while filling up the tank, carefully attention should be paid. And to keep the tank horizontal and do not leave the empty space in the tank, and the fuel consumption will give the idea of the energy required by the implement for the operation. Now these are adjustment on the component, complete record of the provision of the various adjustments to cover the wide range of operating condition, and ease of carrying out the adjustment should be maintained during the test. Apart from this, ease of operation of the implement should be observed critically and reported. Now the some major specification like disc flow is measured as per the IS 4366. and their nominal disc diameter, nominal size shall be 16 to 10 millimeter. Now the frame sustaining a pull 9.8 Newton per millimeter nominal size. The angle should be the disc angle shall be the 42 to 45 degree and tilt angle 50 to 25 degree. For moldboard, the cutting edge of the shear shall be beveled to the distance not more than 10 mm and thickness of the cutting edge shall between 0.5 to 2 millimeter should be uniform, isn't it? Now the disc harrow type of disc may be plain or notch, and number of disc minimum four in each gangs, and the size disc size shall be 45 to 60 millimeter. Length of the spool, then gang angle and ground clearance shall be 1 to 5 millimeter. We can see the length of spool 175 or 2 to 5 plus or minus 2 millimeter. Gang angle up to 25 degree. This is the material composition for the disc plough, NP plough and disc harrow. This is material for different component of the disc harrow, and these are the references. Thank you.